You built a generator and wired it up. But running that wire through the broken glass in the window isn't the look you were going for. Let me show you a different way. Today, we're covering conduits, what they are, how they work, and how to get wires through walls, floors, and even roofs, all without any mods or glitches. Make sure you stick around to the end. I'll share tips to make building with conduits smooth and frustration-free. Today we're back at the Starlight Drive-In for part 2 of the Power series. In part 1, we covered how power works in Fallout 4 and the basics of the vanilla wiring system. If you missed that, I've put a link to it in the description. And with that, let's get started. Conduits were added with the Contraptions Workshop DLC. You'll find them in the Power section of the Workshop menu marked with a wrench icon. Conduits let you distribute power throughout the settlement without relying on visible wires, giving you a cleaner, more flexible build. They can be grouped into 4 main categories: pipes, elbows, junctions, and radiators. Pipes form the backbone of a conduit system. They carry power across the grid. They come in straight and curved variations in different lengths, letting you route power cleanly along walls, ceilings, and structures. There's also a vertical pipe piece that lets you transfer power between floors and ceilings. Pipes can power a single room or can be expanded to cover your entire settlement. Elbows let you change direction or extend your conduit lines. In this example, I'm using one to continue moving power to the right while also branching it forward. They connect seamlessly to both pipes and junctions, making them essential for routing power around corners or obstacles. Conduit junctions are used to connect direct wire objects or generators to the conduit power line. They are available in both floor and ceiling mounted configurations. They also include one of the most useful pieces in the entire system, the wall pass-through conduit. We'll take a closer look at those a little later in the video. When added to the conduit line, junctions are used to connect to generators and to provide power to objects that require direct power. Direct wire objects are equipped with a power connector and are identified in the build menu with a lightning bolt and a number indicating the power requirement. Some items, mostly decor items, have a power connector but only a lightning bolt in the menu. Although still requiring direct wiring, these items can be attached to the power grid without requiring additional power to operate. In contrast to direct wire, radiators provide radiant power to nearby objects. Items powered by radiant power do not have a power connector and display a lightning bolt without a number in the build menu. Instead of wiring each object directly, power is wirelessly broadcast from radiators to nearby objects. If the object is within range of a radiator, they'll turn on automatically. The range is about 1 to 1.5 tile lengths from a radiator. But here's the real advantage. I've connected a single radiator to a small generator, and it lights everything on this display. There's no limit to how many radiant objects a single generator can power. There are 2 easy ways to run power through walls using conduits. The first uses wall pass-through conduits. Wall pass-through conduits come in different heights to match your walls. Choose the correct height, then position it so that the connector extends through the wall. Next, snap a conduit junction to the top or the bottom, depending on your needs. On the outside, connect it to your power source. Here, I'm using conduits. Connect the conduits to the generator and to the wall pass-through. And because conduits work well with the vanilla system, you can also use power connectors or pylons to reach your power source. Back on the inside, connect a wire to the conduit junction and everything powers up. And wall pass-through conduits also work well in many of the existing structures across the Commonwealth. The second method uses a conduit junction placed at the base of a wall. I've removed the floor so that you can see the junction placement and to make it easier to snap on the walls. I recently found that junctions can be placed anywhere along the base of a wall, and the barn, warehouse, and shack walls will snap right over the junction. Start by placing a conduit junction along the edge of a floor or foundation with the back facing towards the outside. Then, snap on a wall. It will snap right over the junction. On the outside, replace the floor or foundation if you removed one, and then connect the junction to a power source. Here, I'm using conduits. Back on the inside, connect your objects to the junction to power them up. Concrete walls behave a little differently because of their thickness. Only pipes, straight or curved, will snap underneath them. So once placed, snap the wall over the conduit, then connect the power from the outside as usual. You can also pass power between floors by snapping a junction through the ceiling. Start by placing a pipe on the upper floor and connecting it to your power grid. Then, snap a downward-facing junction to the end of the pipe. The connector will pass right through the floor. This works for the regular thickness floors. The upper shack and upper concrete floors are too thick for this to work. The same method works with the flat barn and warehouse roofs. This is a great way to hide generators on a rooftop, keeping them protected and out of sight. There's one more technique worth knowing, and this one is specific to shack and concrete walls. You can extend the power from the lower level to the upper level using a tall pipe or wall pass-through conduit that's normally intended for the barn or warehouse walls. For concrete, the conduit can be placed anywhere on the wall and then snap a floor directly over the conduit. For shack walls, the conduit must be placed in the corner between the two floors. Then, the floor can be snapped right over the conduit. Now that we know how conduits work, let's talk about how to put them to work in your settlements. Before you build, walk your build area first. Running conduit across sloped ground causes pieces to clip into the ground or refuse to snap entirely. Check your terrain first. It'll save you a lot of frustration later. If you can't find a flat area, Try building conduits above your equipment instead, like this water purification system. This avoids any conflicts with the ground below. For larger settlements, it's often easier to divide your area into separate conduit zones. For example, water purification might be one zone, housing in another, and a marketplace in the middle. Then connect them to a shared power source or central hub using conduits or pylons. This keeps everything organized and makes troubleshooting much easier later. Conduits are especially useful for systems that require multiple power connections, like a factory. In this example, I align each factory connector to a junction placed directly above the equipment. This eliminates complex wiring that's difficult to trace when something stops working. If you'd like the details of how I built and wired this, or the water purification system, let me know in the comments, and I can turn that into a future video. When working inside smaller structures, build your walls first. Conduits can block wall placement, and if that happens, you're stuck tearing things back down. Building the structure first avoids this problem entirely. And finally, conduits require copper to build. Running low? With the scrapper perk, those pipe weapons in your workbench are worth more than you think. Scrap them down and you'll have all the copper you need to keep building. And that's conduits. From the basics of pipes and elbows to running power cleanly through walls, floors, and even roofs. If you found other creative ways to use conduits, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what you've come up with. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you at the next build site.